Pretty tired. I'm pretty tired right now. It's pretty late at night, but I just want to make this quick video to talk about today how I was stuck at $0 for 8 straight months. I want you guys to hear this so I can help you guys and so we can relate to each other. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cameron. I run an AI lead generation agency. You guys can check out my website down in the description if you want to work together. I've been doing this for about a year now. Pretty much my channel is just designed to relate to some of you newer guys within your agency so you don't feel left out and so you know you're not doing anything wrong. But yeah, pretty much I was stuck at 0 clients for like maybe 8 months, I'd say. No clients, no phone calls, nothing. And it wasn't because I had like the wrong niche or anything. And it wasn't because my offer sucked. It wasn't because I wasn't using the right tools or anything. It's because I was missing 3 simple things. And the moment that I fixed these 3 things, it changed everything. But here's what nobody tells you. And you're going to go through this too. You're going to waste a lot of money. You're going to sit and not have nights in your bed where you sit, wonder, what are you doing wrong? And you're going to see a lot of people online making a lot of money, but you can't let that stuff get to you. So let me save you guys these 8 months and tell you exactly what I did. And more importantly, why these 3 changes are probably the only thing standing between you and making money. So for the first thing, I just want to talk about why I stayed at $0 for so long. And looking back at it, I was definitely stuck for these 3 simple reasons. And I guarantee you one of these reasons is the reason that you're stuck at 0 as well. And reason number 1 is I was making and selling useless automations. What do I mean by that? I'd spend weeks trying to build impressive make automations, innate automations. I'd watch all of these videos trying to learn all the tips and tricks. Then I would cold email companies. I'd call people and I'd email them and be like, hey, I have this neat automation I just built. And I would either get ghosted, cussed out on the phone, or I would just get no reply at all. That's pretty much the same thing as ghosted. Prospects, they don't really care about your tech. All those clients, they don't care about any of those cool automations you use. I was making solutions to problems that nobody had, but they look cool. The second thing I was doing wrong, I kept on switching my channels, how I was doing outreach pretty much. One week I would do cold email. I'd send like 1,000 cold emails. That wouldn't work. Then I would call like 100 people a day for like a week. That wouldn't work. Then I would go on LinkedIn, send some. If you guys do LinkedIn, man, that LinkedIn is not for me. But like I said, I'd do LinkedIn for a little while, send a few messages on LinkedIn. It wouldn't work. And I would just repeat that process. The thing I started to realize is if you're not consistent with how you're doing outreach, you're not going to really get any good data to know what you are and what you're not doing right. And if you're not knowing what you are doing right, you're not knowing what you can improve on to get better. So pretty much I was restarting from 0 every single week for like 3 or 4 months straight. And the third thing I was doing that was useless, I was avoiding anything that would build me money. What I mean by that, I wasn't talking to any potential buyers. I would spend like 6 hours researching niches and 30 minutes reaching out, which is not the right thing to do. I'd spend like 2 days trying to build a website. I'd spend like 4 hours trying to make an automation. Then I was editing my LinkedIn profile continuously, like that really mattered. Anything I could do to avoid the truth that I needed to be in front of people, I would do it. Because that's low key probably what it really was. And that's probably what it is with a lot of you guys. You're just scared to hear no. So you do a lot of other things to avoid having to get on the phone and hear other people tell you no. But then I realized, and this kind of goes back to my previous point. You getting on the phone is better than you not getting on the phone at all. If you get a no on the phone or on the sales call or whatever, that doesn't matter. It's actually really good that you got that because now you know what not to do on your next call. But if you don't ever get on a phone call or anything, or if you don't ever try and get on a sales call, you're never going to know what to do right because you don't know what's wrong, if that makes sense, if I said that right. Those 3 things alone kept me at $0 for like 8 months straight. And I guarantee you that one of those things that I just listed is probably the reason that you're still at $0. So the one thing I did to fix this is I made daily outreach my number 1 thing I did every single day. Not after I finished one automation, not after I finished making a website or something. That was the number 1 thing I did every single day. So pretty much this is what I look like on my off days, at least. I'd wake up, I'd give me a little something to eat, make me some coffee. Black, don't drink all that sugary stuff. At least try to avoid it if you can. I would check Twitter. I'd check my YouTube, see what's going on my YouTube channel. Get on Instagram for a little while, play some Clash Royale. And then I would send. And then like after all of that, it's like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I'd send like maybe 300 emails. Some days I felt motivated. A lot of days I didn't. But I still sent those anyways. But sooner or later, I really started to realize something very important. Consistency beats perfection. A mediocre, garbage email, a mediocre, terrible email today is better than an email that never got sent at all. I really got it on my mind that outreach was really something like really big and scary. And I just started realizing that it's just something that it's like brushing your teeth. You're going to have to do it every day anyway. So you might as well just do it. And within that, and then within like 3 or 4 weeks, I was getting conversations left and right, positive or negative. I was getting conversations and I was able to help on sales calls with people. So I want you guys to take a moment and write this down, because this is the system right here that pretty much helped me. You need one single offer, guys. One single offer. Don't do all of that looking around, switching for offers. Just find one offer that you think is good for you, that you can sell. Now, I want you to really think hard about this offer, because you're going to be stuck with this offer for a very long time, or at least 2 or 3 months. So pick one offer. Think about it and pick an offer. And the reason I say have one offer is because if you stick with that one offer for like 2 to 3 months, after you get a certain amount of replies, positive and negative, you know how to refine that offer to get it to the way that it needs to be. It's the same thing with like emailing and everything. If you send the same emails week after week and you improve and stack on that email, sooner or later, that email that you sent 3 weeks ago is going to sooner or later mold into the perfect copy that you can send to 1,000 people to get a very high reply rate. And also something else that makes you really good when you have one offer is you're a specialist. Instead of you appealing to multiple people, you appeal to one group of people. And I don't want to use the word passed around, but a lot of people, it's easier to get referrals when you're doing one single thing instead of trying to do a lot of other things for other people. The second thing you need to do is make sure you keep it to either one. I'd say if you're starting off with one channel, but 1 to 2 channels, no more than 2 channels. If you're doing cold emails, stick with that. If you're doing cold calling, stick with that. If you're doing LinkedIn or DM outreach and Instagram or whatever, stick with that. You really don't want to switch around, because like I said, if you keep on switching, you're never going to know what is and what isn't working. Like that stuff doesn't happen overnight or within a week. It takes like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks to really get some real data from what you've been sending. Because you're assuming that most people check their emails or their DMs every single day. A lot of people, you'd be surprised. You might do that, but a lot of people don't check their DMs every single day. And if you got to realize, if you don't follow somebody on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, they're never going to see a message anyways until like maybe like 2 weeks later anyway. So you really can't, it has like a delayed effect. You can't just judge 24 hours after you sent a message. I did, like I said, I did cold emailing and I went deep with it. I A/B tested different subject lines. I A/B tested different copies. And sooner or later, I started to get good replies. I started to get a lot of replies. And the only thing that I really started tracking was how many actual messages did I send today. Because if it's more than 0, then you're doing something good. Now, don't do like 5 cold emails. It has to be like a great number. Like honestly, in 2025, 2026, if you're not sending over like 1,000 emails a week, not counting, if you're not, okay, I said that wrong. If you're doing cold email and you're not touching at least 300 to 400 new people a week, it's not going to work out for you in cold emailing. There's a lot of ways you can get leads, but we'll talk about that in another video. But pretty much I just stopped obsessing over those vanity metrics and just did what needed to be done. Some days I got 0 replies. Some days I got 1 reply. Some days I got lucky, got 2 replies. But I tracked it, saw what I was doing right, saw what I was doing wrong. And that pretty much helped me get to where I am today. And if you're not tracking if you don't have anything that needs to be tracked, you're pretty much just running blindly, guys. You're never going to be able to grow or anything. So once I did kind of make those switches, 3 things started to happen. I started to get warm replies because doing sequences, I hit some people up multiple times, and they did see my first message, but sometimes they won't reply back because you might be spam. Sometimes you just got to hit them more than once. So then people will reply back that way. And sooner or later, I got enough of those warm emails to the point where I ended up getting on a real sales call. It didn't go good, but nobody's first few sales calls really go good. You have to work your way up. And like I said, the only way you're going to know what doesn't work in anything in the agency is you have to actually do it to know what doesn't work. Your first 5 or 6 sales calls are probably going to be trash. You might get lucky and close it, but if you're like under 10 sales calls and you have 0 closes, then it doesn't really matter. You're learning. Man, once you get to like 10 plus sales calls and you haven't closed it, you probably need to just take a step back and really, really dig deep and figure out what you're doing wrong. And after long, I had my first paying client. He was about it was a she actually. It was about $300. That was now when you haven't made any money online, any amount of money is going to seem like a lot of money. Trust me, $300. I really needed that at the time. And the crazy part is, it came from an email that I sent like 3 days previously before that. So like I said, you just have to send things out, just do your daily outreach, and sooner or later something's going to happen because people are not looking at their emails and things like that every single day. So the lessons for anybody that's stuck at zero. If you're one of those people that does AI automation, this is specifically for you. Stop trying to sell automations. Don't do that. I see this every single day on YouTube. People telling you you can sell this automation and this automation. You might be able to do that, but it's not as easy as people make it seem. Trust me, because everybody's doing that because they're told that it's easy. And if everybody's doing it, then it's really, really hard to do it. Trust. And another thing I learned that's going to make you different from all these other people selling automations is clients don't buy automations. They buy results. Trust me, nobody in the morning wakes up and tells themselves, I need a make automation to improve my business. Trust me, I guarantee you, no 44-year-old nor 55-year-old is going to wake up in the morning and think that. Believe me, I bet money nobody's going to think that. Instead, they're going to think, man, how can I get more customers? And that's where you come in. You need to use those automations that you make for yourself, not for them, because they don't want those. They don't want that mess. Trust me. Instead of you saying, hey, dude, I just made this automation that can make you blogs for your website. Instead, you say, hey, dude, I can make you 5 blogs for free. And you use that automation you just built to give them the blogs. You see, now you either got a friend or he just gave you some money, one of the two. But I guarantee you're going to get more success if you do the work for them. And then maybe you try and give them the automation later after you've done a little work for them, than just straight up, flat up, just cold turkey trying to give them the automation right off the bat. That's a better strategy, guys. Trust. So those are 3 things I want you to focus on, guys. Stop trying to sell automations like that. Stop switching channels. And I want you to prioritize outreach. Those are the only 3 things you really need to do, guys. Trust. Now, for you guys that are still watching this video, I try to appeal to a lot of you guys that are doing a lot of different things. A lot of you guys are just starting off, which means a lot of you guys still have jobs. And I know you guys heard me when I said just have one offer, one channel, one metric, but how do you actually implement these things when you have a 9-to-5 still? That's exactly what I covered in this video right here. You guys definitely need to go check that out, because I definitely dropped some great tips on how to transition from a 9-to-5 into running your own business on the side. And this is actually the system that I use every single night as soon as I can get home from work and work on my things. It's pretty much just a playbook of what I did minute by minute, how I stayed consistent when I was exhausted, and how those 3 hours were more productive than like most people's 8-hour days. So like I said, if you're trying to build full-time work and you still have a job, that video will definitely help you out a lot. So go check that video out. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you guys agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, make sure you guys drop it down in the comments. I usually try to reply to everybody. But with that being said, I guess I will see you guys in the next one.